My background is heavily sort of what I would call geospatial data. And I was having lunch with Jeremy, our director of civil engineering, Jeremy Schultz. I pretty much just straight up asked him, like, what do you think the pressing challenges are? And then he threw out tracker grading. I locked in on that one. We use it to set the height of piles on sites, right? So the way you design your piles impacts the amount of earthwork you have to do. Traditionally a really, really painful, arduous manual task. And so we wrote a couple of optimization algorithms that do that for us, right? So it's a couple of minutes instead of a couple of weeks. And it's become like a really full-fledged system at this point.
And this fully fledged system is called... All right, here we go again. We are back. The Sounds of Solar podcast. We've got a great show today. I think one of my favorite people at EVS.
I'm touched.
Yes.
I agree, and I think a lot of people would agree.
Yeah, before we get to him, though, I'm Christoph Brun, your host today, and joining me, as always...
Your other host, Sheridan Henderson.
Wham bam. And to my right, it is Clark Delisle.
It is.
Now, Clark, you don't like it when I call you Dr. Clark.
Not particularly, but you're allowed to.
You do have a PhD.
Yeah, I do.
It's not like you can hide it.
No, I can't. No.
So
No. Yeah,
there's
you can
that.
call me that, but you just really don't need to.
Now, that was a pre-rehearsed joke I had. Now, if you had to pick Dr. Pepper or Mr. Pibb, are you going with Dr. Pepper?
Yeah, I mean, it's better.
It is kind of better
It's a
than
doctor,
Pibb.
but it's better for sure.
Yeah.
What is Mr. Pibb?
You've never had Mr. Pibb?
See, exactly.
All
It's
right,
like
well, that
cares.
case closed, honestly.
Who cares about Mr.
That's all we need to
Pibb?
know.
Sucks. Yeah.
Hard-hitting issues here on Sounds of
Yes.
Solar.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Clark, what is your title here at EVS?
Yeah, my title as of now is Product Development Lead.
Okay.
So I work in a new innovation group, kind of starting up a new innovation group, doing some software development, GIS, a little bit of AI, a little of this, a little of that.
You're always just starting things up.
Yeah, it seems to be that way more and more these days. Basically trying to make everybody's lives easier and help our clients as much as we can.
That's just
The one sentence
such a
version.
good thing you just said for what you're doing.
Tagline, perfect.
Yes, seriously. Wow, amazing. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
So let's go all the way back to the beginning. So you were born.
Yeah, I was born
This is
1995.
gonna be a long episode.
Yeah. The early years. No. I went to undergraduate at the University of Missouri, did a bachelor's in geology.
Yeah.
Where
is that at also?
Columbia, Missouri.
Columbia.
So like smack between St. Louis and Kansas City.
There you go.
Kind of like stereotypical 100,000 person college town. Grew up there, went to University of Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Was going to be a geologist, was always like a rock fossil nerd as
There's
a
still
kid.
time.
Yeah, I still could. I still like kind of
Don't tell him that.
but
We
not
need him
really.
here.
Well, he might start up a thing with
You
that.
never know. Maybe we'll start a new wing. Yeah,
Yeah.
Probably not, but you never know. Did that bachelor's and enjoyed it and went on to get a master's. Moved to Indiana, the illustrious Bloomington, another Midwest college town. Did a master's in geology where I focused on natural hazards, essentially, landslides, flooding, that sort of thing. I won't say roped into a doctorate, but decided to stay around for a doctorate in the same group.
Okay.
There was still funding. I was having fun. We were doing cool field work.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
That's how they get you.
That's exactly how they get you. We're going to Taiwan once or twice a year. I liked my lab group, and so I was like, okay, I'll stay. Did a PhD that was a mix of like long-term landscape geomorphology and natural hazards, and heavily focused on numerical modeling, optimization algorithms, and kind of using those tools to tackle those problems. Finished that up a few years back and was looking for a job, wanted to move up to the Twin Cities, found EVS, thankfully found EVS, joined originally in civil with Sheridan in our water resources group, doing numerical modeling for flooding and erosion, scour, and really liked that position, was having a lot of fun, but kind of quickly saw that there was some opportunity to do things outside of that group and started bugging Jeremy about, hey, I have some other skills that aren't necessarily getting used here. Can I start using them?
Yeah.
And the rest, I think we'll probably talk about.
We're going to get there.
as we
So I
get
want to
through,
rewind back to something you said in there. It was a small thing that I got. You said you wanted to move to the Twin Cities.
I did, yeah.
So why is that? Because now, while this is not a sales pitch for EVS,
it is for the Twin Cities.
it
though,
is
right?
for the Twin Cities,
Absolutely.
which
'Cause it rocks
happens
up
to
here.
have EVS located at
Yeah.
it. Our Homer office, not our Roamers, are all over the world, but
Yeah.
some people do move here, and it's very nice.
Yeah, no. So I'm from Missouri. My fiance, who I'm actually marrying on Saturday, a little
Not to
shout out.
timestamp this,
Yeah,
but
not to
no big
timestamp
deal.
it, but we'll be wife by the time we air this thing.
Yeah.
Is from Florida, and neither of us really wanted to move to either of those
You
states.
didn't want to become a Florida man.
Yeah, I was not ready to be Florida man, shockingly, even though it would probably fit me pretty well. And so we like literally just had a list of cities that we thought might work and kind of sorted them by things to do outside, cost of living, general kind of culture that we
Did you
agreed
run
with.
this through
And
an numerical model?
we did not. No, it was a little. It was more
It
like
was
a
analog?
whiteboard
Yeah,
session kind
okay.
of thing. Yeah, and started looking at jobs up here and saw a lot and applied to EVS. And EVS, you guys have been through the hiring process. It works really fast. And,
Yeah.
came on board and never looked back.
Wham bam.
Yeah.
Love it.
So, as you were working in the civil group and the hydrology group, what caused you to maybe realize that something needed, there were maybe some processes that needed to change or be improved upon, and maybe saw that opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw pretty quickly, like my background is heavily sort of what I would call geospatial data, right? So GIS, spatial data of any sort, like that kind of is what I like to work with. And I saw that a lot of people were working with that and doing it primarily in AutoCAD, which is, kind of industry standard, but you can't, it has its boundaries, right? There's limits to what you can do with it and the efficiency that you can do things in it. And we've all fought with it late nights and long hours, I'm sure, at different points. So I kind of saw that, and I was having lunch with Jeremy as part of like a mentorship program that was happening my first 6 months. And Jeremy, our director of civil engineering, Jeremy Schultz.
Shout out.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And just brought up to him, I was like, I have some of these kind of geospatial data science skills, and I would like to use them. Like, I pretty much just straight up asked him, like, what do you think the pressing challenges are, and what, are there opportunities? And he threw out a couple of smaller ones that we probably could have done. And then he threw out tracker grading, kind of as like a pie in the sky, like, oh, it'd be really cool if you could do that. And my personality is like, I locked in on that one. It's like, oh, that's obviously the one I want to solve.
Yeah,
is the one that
yeah.
you think is going to be really hard to solve. Right?
Yeah, and I remember a couple years ago when the directors and the managers were starting to ask around to the civil group of, hey, what's taken a long time that maybe is not related to the design of a project or the meat and bones of the project. What's
Right.
just taken a lot of time that is just tedious, mundane, over and over work. And
Yeah.
yeah, tracker grading was one of the major ones because
Yeah.
that would take days,
Definitely. So yeah, that came up, and like I said, I had been working in water resources, so I wasn't like intimately familiar with the workflow at that point. So I grabbed my friend John, who is one of our project engineers, and kind of locked him in a room for a couple hours and said, "Hey, can you teach me what
Locked
this
him
is?"
in a room.
Yeah, pretty much.
Against
Just
his
like,
will.
can you teach me what this is and how it works? And
John, blink
tell me
twice
what
if
the-
you're okay.
Yeah. He's not, but that's a different.
He's
story.
not, but
That's beside the point. Kind of was like, can you show me what the pain points are here, right? And let's start working on something together. And he and I worked together a ton for like 6 months to go from really simple first pass, like, can we do something here to like optimize one tracker, right? Like, and slowly scaled it up to now we can support different grading types and slope constraints, racking vendors. And it's become like a really full-fledged system at this point. But
and this fully fledged system
Yeah.
is called.
EVS Fast Track.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for the setup. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, that's why they keep me around here for some
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
So what is Fast Track then? Because
Yeah.
Fast Track it was something that was being developed, and now
Yeah.
it's a thing. It's a
Yeah,
thing that we
totally.
say we
Yeah.
can do Fast Track for
Absolutely.
people.
Yeah. So it's in the grading sense, it's a set of optimization algorithms, right? So obviously we're not going to get into math and things here for the
Yeah.
sake of the listeners, because that'd probably be not the most fun podcast you've ever listened to.
Yeah.
But we use it to set the height of piles on sites, right? So the way you design your piles impacts the amount of earthwork you have to do. And that Sheridan can probably speak to is traditionally a really, really painful, arduous manual task. And so we wrote a couple of optimization algorithms that do that for us, right? So it's a couple of minutes instead of a couple of weeks,
That's
right?
insane.
Saying that casually is
Yeah.
is a wild statement.
And
And
You
I
were-
know.
You were doing the thing where I don't even know how you'd grade a tracker manually, but
You're just taking one at a time. There's tens of thousands of these on a site, and you're basically taking one at a time, raising it and lowering it manually,
Yeah.
typing in
Yeah.
the numbers manually, and over and over and over again. Yeah, it would take days. And then when we're wanting to earthwork balance, if we got a lot of dirt we're cutting out, we got to place it somewhere, then that's just an iterative process
Oh
of
my
basically the
gosh.
same thing. So yeah, that would take weeks.
Holy
and
cow.
thanks to Fast Track, now it takes minutes and a couple iterations, maybe takes an hour or two. It's crazy to think of how much it's evolved and how useful it is now.
Yeah. So it simplifies our work, but it also at the end of the day is like it simplifies our service that we offer our clients.
Yeah, and it's let us give new services to clients, right? So like Jeremy and I have talked about it. He said it really, I think, poignantly once. That was like, we have always been able to give you a working solution, but we never knew that it was the best solution.
Yeah.
Right. So we would, sit around at a kickoff meeting and say, well, this is a project in Louisiana with steep slopes. We think we're going to use this racking vendor. Let's say that the tolerances are A, B, and C. And we would all kind of shake hands and design the site, and that would just be the gospel. And you're just going with it, hoping that it is the best answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now, like Sheridan said, since we can do it really quickly, it's like, okay, well, let's test 10 or 15 or 20 different iterations and run through earthwork and steel numbers and tell you which one's going to be the cheapest.
Because that was like always the problem, is that like you alluded to it, but like for the listeners, like on a construction site, you have many parameters to balance. Steel costs money, moving earthwork and dirt costs money.
Yep.
And these are manually intensive things to just iterate. But now we have a tool that just does it.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. And the other thing that costs money is time.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
These
They keep telling me that.
Design
yeah,
costs money.
Yeah.
Us designing it for hours costs money.
Yeah.
Yeah, our time and our clients' time,
Yeah.
right? Like they have lots and lots of people out in the field that they want to move around, and they want to make sure they're busy as much as they can be and not put them somewhere too early or too late.
Yeah.
So the more we can support them in that, the better.
Yeah. I also imagine that these, pre-project just introductory meetings are also talking about schedule.
Yeah.
And the schedule is vastly different now for at least the civil design than it was a couple years ago, with so much time now being kind of saved from not having to do all these manual iterative processes.
Yeah, and I also think it's let us like focus on the things that matter more, right? So it's not necessarily going to reflect one-to-one, and we shaved 2 weeks directly off this project, right? But what it's going to let us do is our civil engineers like Sheridan can be civil engineers rather than be somebody that's moving a line up and down in CAD and worry about, well, is the stormwater going to work, right? What's what's the cost efficacy of this? Like, what are all these other considerations, and make sure that we get a really good, well-rounded design and save time while we do it.
So can you tell us what all does Fast Track do?
Yeah, so it's grown a lot, right? We started talking with grading because that's where it started, right? We chose that as kind of the first problem we wanted to tackle. We got it working pretty well for both terrain following and non-terrain following racking systems, and then kind of looked around as to what was next. The next obvious one in my mind, and probably in yours as a structural guy, is steel quantities.
Yep.
So as you kind of alluded to earlier, as you change your grading design, you might save money on grading and you're spending money on steel, or you might spend money on steel and you're saving money on grading. So it can now do prelim structural designs as well and give really, really quick quantities so that you can like directly dollar to dollar compare between, solution A, B, and C.
Yeah, because depending on the site you're working on, like the steel mill might be way far away.
Yeah.
Or the place you're going to take the cut and fill, or what you're going to do with it, might be way far away. So you have to balance that, and like having those answers like sooner is always better for the pricing for our clients, right?
Yeah, for sure. So that's the big one. Those are the ones that we're using a ton. And there's 2 new ones that we're excited about that are like somewhere between in beta and about to be in use fully. So one of those is layout creation. We now have our own Fast Track module that does layout creation from scratch. So you can give it tracker geometries in a buildable area and just create your layout right there. And then it can feed straight into grading and steel from there. So that will be in use very soon. We've been testing that over the last couple of months. Been in development maybe half a year-ish. And then the one that is maybe a little bit further away, but also imminent, is some tools to help our grounding studies team. So we're really kind of expanding our scope. Yeah.
You're really helping every
So
we're trying.
At the end, in a couple of years, it's going to be mostly just Clark. And it's like you and I will be just hosting a podcast full time about Clark.
So
Perfect.
I don't think that's what the
we're
people
gonna have plenty
want.
to talk about.
I think that's what they want.
Think the people
What's everyone
want
else
that.
gonna do?
I don't know.
They're just gonna
Be
watch
on the show. They could be extras on the show. We
They're
could
all
have
gonna
a
be background
sitcom.
extras.
We could have a sitcom.
We're just gonna have the same
Sitcom.
audience every
God.
week.
Sounds awesome.
I am rewatching Seinfeld, which is the
Oh.
kind of like the foundation of my
Yeah.
personality. So
Yeah.
it's been good.
I can see that.
But
Yeah.
I could see that.
It's not a bad thing. I've watched a lot of Seinfeld
Yeah.
too.
Anyway, so that's fast track.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add about fast track?
I don't think so. I mean, I think I'm really excited to see it take on some different scopes. The grounding thing was really fun to learn. We've got some really, really smart people that know a lot about grounding studies here, and it's been fun to kind of work with them and learn some stuff that I didn't know.
Can you like, I mean, I'm a lay
Yeah, like
person.
high level,
Like what
right?
the heck? Like what is fast track going to do for grounding?
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
what
So,
is grounding?
yeah.
No, I
Let's
know
start
what
at
it
the
is.
top. Yeah. So, right, their job is to make sure that if there's a fault
Yep.
and you happen to be touching some equipment, you don't die. Right. Like in a sentence, that's basically what it is.
Well, they have all the signs that say "Do not touch."
Yeah, but you might
Just
still
listen.
right?
I don't know.
Yeah. And so the industry standard tools that do that modeling run really, really slowly. They do a ton of really complicated math and can take 12 hours to run or 15 hours to run.
Yeah.
And they take a long time to set up. And so iteration with those is really, really hard.
Yeah.
And so what happens is like, if your first approach works, you're cool, you move on. But if your first approach fails, it's a really kind of a sticky situation where you have to run iterations and try not to spend too much money on grounding sort of solutions, but also get something that works and is safe. And so what we're building is more of like a back of the envelope calculator. So it's not something that would be like the final grounding design, but to help our engineers sort of like shortcut from, oh shoot, this one doesn't work to, oh, okay, here's one that we're, 95% happy with. Let's validate it in our industry standard and submit that to the AHJ, right?
Yeah.
So it's not replacing it, but it's just helping them not have to run it 20 times and instead have to run it 3 times, right?
That sounds like just the name of the game for fast track of just taking out the iterative process and helping it be more automated and take that time to spend more on design and problem solving and what we actually need to use our brains for.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously we're not going to identify future use cases, but like, are there a lot of things out there?
Sort of like left to do, essentially?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I mean, the next level for us is sort of more detailed electrical design, like power block grouping, load break disconnect grouping. Those are both kind of on the same scale as tracker grading in terms of like super tedious, super manual.
Yeah.
And then from there's a lot for the studies team as well. And then we've done an episode recently with our new director of transmission, Ryan Grady. Ryan Grady, yeah. And so we want to work with him too. That's a brand new upstart group, and we want to support them kind of from the ground up. Kind of excited about that opportunity because it's, I think, going to be easier to like, let's establish these processes from the jump rather than, see how 60 people are doing it and try and reverse engineer it and make it more efficient sort of after the fact, right?
Wow. Well said. So that kind of, I feel like, is a segue into, so what we're talking about here is automating things.
Yeah.
And so you are in the automation group, which up until recently was only a thought in someone's head, probably yours. And so what, I mean, moving where we are now, I mean, everything is changing very rapidly.
Yeah.
We are in this AI world, and every industry is incorporating AI and automation. And like, can you just speak to maybe how things have changed and like, what's your read on all of this? Like, it's been crazy.
Yeah.
Did you expect all of this? Like when you started here, like, were you kind of did you know what was going on?
I wouldn't say I expected it. I mean, I think that like the changes in our industry are not unique to our industry, right? Like the changes in terms of like more people developing custom software and adopting AI and things like that. That's pretty widespread. I think that there's a lot of room for it in solar because we are young and growing as an industry. Like still, we've been around, right? We're not a baby industry anymore, but when you compare it to other engineering industries like classical structural engineering, like we're still getting our footing compared to people that have been doing it since.
As someone who previously worked in that
BC
right? I like to say that it's been around since at least the days of the Romans.
Yeah, so, exactly.
And probably further.
So on that time scale, right, solar and renewables super, super young. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity.
Do you think a PE stamped Stonehenge?
I think they should have. If not, we should pull the permits. Yeah.
They did a good job. It's still there.
It's still there. Yeah. You can't complain too much.
How is AI like in automation reshaping our world? Like in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think the easier answer is like where it's not touching, right? It seems like almost everything it's having some impact on.
Basically.
from your personal life and how you do research on things. I know that I go to ChatGPT a lot more than I go to Google these days, at least as a first pass.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Google
Like,
basically has ChatGPT in it
right,
now.
you
I
can't
know, and
avoid
that's
it.
the
You can
crazy
just go to
thing.
Google and
Yeah.
they give you Gemini. Or
And
whatever, right?
now there's a whole, technological war between them. I mean, because
Yeah.
now it's like,
Oh, yeah.
Nano Banana Pro is like,
Yep.
that's a better image generator than ChatGPT's native
Yep.
image generator.
Oh God, when the AI bots start fighting, that's when
Yeah.
we get scared.
Yeah, don't give them
It could be
guns.
fun to
Yeah.
watch. I would go.
Yeah, actually, yeah, we could monetize this.
Yeah,
Probably.
BattleBot style.
They already did this, yeah,
Yeah.
didn't they? Anyway, but yes, you were saying AI is reshaping the world.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
think
what is it? It's not reshaping.
Yeah, it's definitely changing how people work for sure. In a lot of different ways. I think the obvious one is software development, software engineering. Like the timelines on those has come way down. I know, like from my personal experience, the stuff that I've been able to do as somebody that knows how to write code, but is one person and then now a small group. Right, we've got a few people working with me now. Like the way that I've been able to build stuff quickly, like I would not have been able to do in 2020 for
Right.
sure, because I'm
And
just
that's
not
only
spending
5
time
years
doing
ago.
keystrokes.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, 2020 is not that long ago.
I
Even 2022, I think back to like early Chat GPT, and I would go and try to have it draft an email, and it would just be kind of garbage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was
To
a total
now-
novelty at that time, but something
Yeah.
changed like
Yeah.
about a year and a half ago, maybe 2
Yeah.
years ago, where
Probably
it was just
AI
like,
agents is like what you're picking up.
yes,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a big change, and it's noticeable in quality, and we're starting to get to where you can trust them, not blindly, but to a certain extent, to do a lot of tasks, right? And I think that's just going to continue growing. And I think part of it is we'll find out what they do well and what they don't, right? And I think there's a lot of people pushing them into roles, pushing AI and AI agents into roles that we'll find out in 5 years they don't really work all that well for, and will revert. But if half of them stick, that's going to change the world,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
If a third of them stick or 10% of them stick, that's going to change the world. So I think people like to poke at the ones that don't work, but that's just kind of how it goes. You kind of have to try a bunch of stuff and see what sticks, right?
I mean, that's even going back to Fast Track, how it worked in the beginning, even when I was kind of testing it out, and we were going back and forth of what was working and what wasn't.
Yeah, totally.
And we didn't foresee it being, now this is kind of the sole process that we're using rather than, both of the manual process and the Fast Track. Now it's developed enough that we use it pretty much solely to do our tracker grading.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's just that back and forth of improving the process.
And I think that like that process of me being the kind of software engineer data person in that room and you being the subject matter expert and us having the ability to develop stuff on our own, like that is the thing that's novel in 2025 and 2026 to me, where like smaller companies can build stuff from scratch largely because of the AI tooling. And so all of a sudden the person that's developing it is really close to the person that's using it, right? If I'm having a question, I'm like writing some code and something doesn't work the way I want it to, or I'm not sure if it works the way I want it to, I'm not a software engineer on a team of 40 people that's going to sell this to a person. I'm a coworker of Sheridan, and I'm going to go ask Sheridan, hey, does this suck or is this good, right? And I'm going to get an answer from her immediately and then feed it back in immediately and update the software from there. And I think like that process, especially at companies like EVS that are not, Netflix and Google, right? Like mid-market type companies, is really novel, right? And is changing a lot of industries.
Yeah, that's a cool point. Like you have you can do that now, right? You can have that in-house theoretically if you have the right people in the right seats.
You don't have to invest in hiring 15 people to spin it off the ground. You need a few, right?
Yeah. So it's like as we move forward now, and our company, any company, I mean, maybe actually what I want to ask is people coming into work now.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing, because I mean, all this is brand new for everyone, but then you have people who are like graduating into this world, which is just kind of blows my mind that like it was only, 2012 when I started working in industry, and like it seems like such a like it's like the Neolithic man era.
Yeah.
Like it is stone, like what did I say?
Stonehenge.
It is Stonehenge.
Stonehenge, yeah, exactly.
In comparison to now, and like what should kids be thinking? Like,
I mean, I
into
think
this
that,
era.
I think that like if I were gonna try and summarize it simply, and like I'm just one person, my advice is not final on this, but like learn how to use AI really well, but also learn how not to lean on it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think
that's the danger of it, because it's like if you don't have the experience to know like that's like factor crap, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
how do you know?
Well, I think it's about like resisting the urge to just take the output and run.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you are intentional and you come to, you open a tool like ChatGPT or any of the other kind of foundation models that are out there, and you have some new task that you want to learn about, like you can learn so much by sitting there and going back and forth, and it'll link you to resources, and you actually go read those resources.
Important.
Right? And you read what it's saying and understand it, or you could open it and say, what is the answer to this question, and learn absolutely nothing. Right. And I think that the kids that are in like college right now,
Yep.
you're going to be able to tell which ones did which
Yep.
coming out in like 2 seconds when you meet them in person.
Well, because the ability to learn is
Yeah.
still a skill that you have to develop.
Yeah.
And if you lean on ChatGPT too much, you're not going to learn how to learn and
Learn.
how to do
Yeah.
something and how it actually
Yeah.
gets to that answer. You're just
Well-
going to say, oh, this is the answer. But then you get into the workforce and you don't actually know how to even get trained on or how to learn. I don't mean to say that
no,
again,
it's
but
exactly
it's just how
it
to
though,
learn.
right? And then there's
Yeah.
like the next level is how to learn with it, right? How to use it to make you
Yeah.
learn even faster, because you're at this point where you can learn a new skill, whatever that is, whether that's like software engineering or carpentry, and ChatGPT can help you do it in a fraction of the time you used to before, but only if you accept that you don't already know it, right? You have to come in with that like hat in hand, like I don't know this. I need to actually try to learn it, not let me use this to make me feel like I know how to use it. I feel like that's the thing that I always feel like gets lost in these conversations is like, it's not just, oh, this can make me do my work faster.
Yeah.
Right. Like, no, it can move you from a novice to an expert a lot faster.
Right.
If you're willing to like actually put the effort in.
Kind
But
of
it's
goes
hard.
back to that, like, I think the original use case that was really demonized, and rightfully so, is like, college students are writing like term papers
Yeah.
and just literally like letting it generate the whole thing. Whereas
Yeah.
like you can parse certain parts of that out. Like, hey, I need to like rewrite the intro. I don't like the intro. Like,
Exactly.
here's some ideas. Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, like let's do this. And then suddenly you have a personal tutor instead of just like a black box
Yeah.
that you're feeding information in and out of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly it, right? You don't learn anything if you just have it generate it and move on with your life, but have it challenge your ideas. That's one thing I really like doing is like review
totally. Yeah.
this really critically as though you're either,
Yep.
Maybe you're a super senior software engineer at Google and I'm having you review a piece of code, or maybe I'm drafting a strategy document internally and I'm like, be like a stereotypically angry CFO that doesn't want to spend money and review this like that, right? Like whatever it is, like you
That's
can
my
ask it to
default.
be an antagonist.
Yeah, that's what I usually tell ChatGPT to behave like. Is
Totally.
Even when you're
Which-
just getting life advice.
yeah, what would you call it? Like
An
super critical.
angry CFO that doesn't want to spend money.
Yeah.
I've genuinely asked it to do that before. We've grown this group a lot, and some of that has been like, talking to our leadership and asking for investment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so it's like poke the holes in my cage,
sure.
right? Tell me what I'm missing. Tell me
Yeah.
where I'm weak. Tell me where I'm strong, and,
Yeah.
and go from there.
Inflate my
It helps.
ego.
Yeah, exactly.
More of that, please.
It will do that. You have to be careful for that. It
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
Was it
Glazing.
Sam Altman? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly what I was going to say. It was
glazing
glazing
is
too much.
just
It's
like-
backed off a little bit, but
Chris,
it's still glazed.
that's a great
Yeah,
idea.
nobody's ever thought of that
Ever
before.
in
You're
the
literally
history.
writing an email right now.
All right, so I think we covered it. Well, okay, so here's one more question. Maybe this is the softball question is, as firms move forward in industry, like what are the, what should we be conscious of not making mistakes, not going in the wrong
Yeah.
direction? Like, how do you want to answer that?
Yeah, are you talking about in the way that they adopt new technology?
Yeah,
essentially?
because like there's a carrot dangling on a stick of like, wow, like we could solve all of our problems with this maybe, but it's not
Yeah.
going to be that simple.
Yeah.
And we need to be strategic on how we implement certain things, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I have two answers to that, and one of those is like trust your subject matter people, right? A company like EVS, we have a lot of people that have done this for a very long time and know their specific area of expertise really well. They should be really intimately involved in those processes, whatever they are, right? But the other thing is like, I forget who it was from. I wish I could cite the source, but I read an article or a LinkedIn post or something about how they were talking about in software development, but I think it applies in this world too, that like the risky path is the safe path now, right? If you're not taking
Yeah.
risks, you are guaranteeing failure,
Wow.
right? So like you have to take some risks. and that doesn't mean like on your projects for your clients, right? But invest some time from people that know what they're doing to learn these new things. Obviously, don't take a risk on a stamped set.
I was just gonna say, like
let's
so
caveat that a little bit.
It's really snowing
right?
out there, so you're saying
Yeah,
I should do
drift
90
out. Yeah, totally.
on the way home?
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
But no, like if you don't invest the time to try and either at an individual level learn a new skill or contribute to a new project or whatever it is, or at an organizational level bring on new skills or develop a new tool or whatever it is, then you're guaranteeing that you're going to fail, right?
Well,
you're not going to get there if you don't try.
Sorry, but
Yeah, no, you're fine.
especially with just how fast this industry is growing and how much it's changing too, and also just the world in general and how fast it's evolving. Yeah, if you don't take risks and you don't learn new skills and you don't challenge yourself, you are going to fall behind.
Yeah.
Companies too.
We were talking about earlier, like just all the Stonehenge, great inside baseball right there. But like I kind of do reflect on my old industry and like, I mean, I worked with a lot of smart people and a lot of great thinkers there, but like just you're working against traditions and things, and like I wonder like if industries like that are in a position to capitalize on things like that. It's almost like, I don't know. Can you even change the minds of?
I think it depends, right? Like I think there are some of those older industries like traditional structural and heavy civil and stuff like that. Like you're at a firm that's building dams that like they're going to be slower to adopt this, and that's probably okay. But they're also going to get less pressure from their competitors, right?
Yeah.
I think in a field like renewables, like I don't want to use the term gold rush, but like there's a lot of people going after it right now. And like, if you don't do it, somebody else will.
Yeah.
Right. And so you always in my opinion, you always want to be in a position where you're like taking a calculated risk. You're okay with if it doesn't work. You've got checks so that you know that like risky decisions are not making it through to your clients, but you stand to benefit if they land, right. And benefit your people.
Yeah.
It's just the idea of investing within, maybe internally.
Yeah,
not externally
exactly.
yet, but internally first.
Yeah, totally. Invest in your people, right? That's a lot of it.
Yeah.
Train people, let them try stuff. I mean, I can think of a new hire engineer in training that we have who's been here maybe 6 months now. I don't know exactly. Who was doing a task that the civil engineers do, inverter pad grading, and I was like, man, this is a pain. And went to ChatGPT and had it write a Lisp routine and reached out to one of our coworkers who knows Lisp really well and said, hey, this seems to work. Can you QC this for me? And then went to his supervisor and said, hey, this seems to work. Can you QC this for me? And it worked, and it saved him a ton of time. Right. But like he did it the right way where he took that risk, but then he also, checked it with people that knew. Right. And I think that strategy was really good.
Can you send that Lisp routine
Yeah,
to me, please?
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Sure.
But that's exactly what it is. You take a risk, you try something internally, and then it seems to work. You check it, you make sure, you do a couple rounds of it, and then you start implementing it in your design that's going to the client.
Yeah.
It's just the name of the game.
And the nice part about automation, like if you build it right, you can have safety checks built in, right? Like fast track, for example, not to keep going back to that, but like a lot of what it does is setting slopes, and then it checks all the slopes on the way out and sends out a report, right? So like you get some level of QC that takes some of that mental load off people, and lets it, run a little bit more smoothly.
Sweet. Well, I think that's going to do it for us today on the Sounds of Solar podcast. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, for all the other
subscribing and commenting.
Yes, all those
and
things.
sharing.
Can I say smash that like and subscribe button?
Yeah,
absolutely.
You can look in the camera and say that.
Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button.
Yeah, I've ruined many a good mouse and keyboard over that. So,
ruin the keyboard with a comment below.
We'll see you next time on the Sounds of Solar podcast.
Bye.